Yo, it's been a popcorn in the house. We go.
The movie Strangers Chapter 1 is like a game of hide and seek. At the end, it shows some really dark stuff that's in all the movies in the series. This movie is the first part of 3 movies that tell a new version of the old movie Strangers from 2028. The story is about Maya and Ryan, a young couple who are in love. They're trying to move to Portland, but they have to stop in a small town for a bit and rent a place through Airbnb. But then they meet 3 killers.
Why are you doing this to us?
The story is all about how these killers chase after Maya and Ryan. They said this trilogy might explain why the killers in Strangers did what they did, but the first part is just a really intense thriller that sets the mood for the next movies. It all ends in a really tough and unforgiving way. The end of the movie shows it's still connected to the original story and hints that one of the people who survived will be important in the next movies.
Yo, it's been a popcorn.
Even though Strangers Chapter 1 has some really cruel plot twists, it also sets up Maya as the main character for the rest of the new Strangers trilogy. Maya is one of the main characters in the first movie, an architect who goes a cross-country trip with her longtime boyfriend, Ryan. Like the other main characters in the Strangers franchise, Maya has the misfortune of encountering 3 masked killers. Despite all her efforts, she can't escape them by the end of the movie. But even after being beaten, stabbed, and left to die as shown in the final scenes of the Strangers Chapter 1, Maya survives the nightmare she went through. In a scene after the credits, she wakes up in a hospital room. This means that Maya will likely be the main character in the upcoming Strangers Part 2 and maybe even Part 3. Director Rennie Harlin told Entertainment Weekly that the movies will explore what happens to the survivors, hinting that Maya will remain at the center of attention throughout the whole trilogy.
Yo, it's been a popcorn.
While Maya survived the events of Stranger Chapter 1, the fate of her boyfriend Ryan remains less clear. At first, Ryan was more suspicious of the small town of Venus than Maya, but in the end he was stabbed and left to die next to Maya. His fate is somehow uncertain, but the chances of survival seem darker for Ryan than for Maya. Ryan was stabbed earlier and he seemed to lose consciousness much faster than his girlfriend. Considering his asthma, it's quite possible that Ryan didn't make it through the events of the Stranger Chapter 1. Considering Ryan's actions in the movie, his potential death adds another tragic element to Maya's survival. At first, Ryan was suspicious of everything in the town of Venus, and his concerns turn out to be justified.
Lock the front door.
The accidental killing of the local repairman by him could complicate any attempts by the police to fully investigate the aftermath of the attack. If Ryan returns, it will allow for the exploration of the guilt he felt because of his actions. But it's unclear whether actor Gabriel Gutierrez will return in Strangers Part 2, making Ryan's death even more likely.
Yo, it's been a popcorn.
In the movie Strangers Chapter 1, it's implied that the 3 masked killers are the same ones who appeared in the original Strangers movie and its sequel, Strangers Prey at Night. Like in previous installments, this trio seems to have no specific reason for the killings other than pleasure they derive from the act itself.
Because you're here.
Before Maya is stabbed and left to die, she tearfully asks them why they attacked her and Ryan. One of the killers approaches her and simply says they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, suggesting that for Ryan and Maya, it was just an unfortunate coincidence. The lack of any concrete motives or meaning behind these killings is one of the most frightening aspects of the Strangers concept. In the original movie, the reason for attacking Kristen and James was simply that they were home. Considering the ending of Strangers Chapter 1, it hints that the cruel actions in the movies are simply the result of violent impulses and opportunities. While there is no specific goal or overarching plan here, it adds a scary element of randomness to the events. Theoretically, anyone could become the killer's next target.
Yo, it's been a popcorn.
The movie Strangers Chapter 1 ends on a pretty dark note. The killer seems to get away with their actions. Though Maya manages to call the police, they arrive too late to catch the criminals. This means their cruel actions will continue, setting the stage for the next movies, as well as the events in the original film Strangers and Strangers Prey at Night. The post-credit scene in Strangers Chapter 1 at least confirms that Maya survived what happened, although it's unclear if Ryan did. However, Maya is still in danger. The last frame of the post-credit scene shows the man in a mask also in her hospital room, watching her. If it's really him, it could mean the killers are capable of easily infiltrating even public places like hospitals. This could also suggest that they have some authority or power in their regular lives. There's a possibility that the presence of the man in the mask is just a visual cue that the trauma of the attack haunts Maya, cementing her as the main character of the entire film series. Thanks a lot for watching Beat Up Popcorn. Like, subscribe, please don't forget to comment, and see you in the next episode.